I want to run through the factory 200 series airbox and explain the way it works and where the issues lie with it. I'm then going to break down these two filters. One's a genuine filter, one is an aftermarket brand. Really the main thing we're going to look at with the filters is the differences between them and why you guys should be using high quality filters on your cars. From our spectacular campsites on the most remote of tracks to the workshop and everything in between, your next episode of Great Off-Road Adventures is just seconds away. Good day everyone, it's Graham from Great Off-Road Adventures. Welcome back to another video. Now if you've seen my last one, the link's up in the corner, you'll know that we had the misfortune of dusting the engine in our 200 series Land Cruiser and having to go about replacing it. So following that, what I want to do is sit down and take an in-depth look at how that happened, how I believe it happened. Done a lot of research the last few weeks since finding out, and I figured it's a good opportunity, hopefully for me to impart what I've learned with you guys, and hopefully prevent you guys from ending up in the same position as us. So first thing I want to do, as you can see I've got some stuff laid out here. I want to run through the factory 200 series airbox and explain the way it works and where the issues lie with it. I'm then going to break down these two filters. One's a genuine filter, one is an aftermarket brand. I'm not going to mention the brands because it's not relevant. Really the main thing we're going to look at with the filters is the differences between them and why you guys should be using high quality filters on your cars. And then at the end I've got what I believe to be the proper solution, which I'm just going to remain hidden for now. And I've also got some fuel filters to look at, again, just to reiterate the point of using quality filters. So without any further ado, let's rip into it. First thing we're going to look at is the airbox. So the 200 series airbox comes in two parts. This is the lid. It has two clips on the lid, two clips on the base down here. So if we put the lid to the side for now, I'll explain the way it works. So the base, air comes in through here. It just comes in through the quarter panel and front guard on your car. It obviously comes in. The filter, I should say, then fits into here, like so. And then there's a seal around the edge of the filter, which seals both to the bottom of the box and also the lid when you put the lid on the top. Obviously, you put the lid on, and it fits on. You then clip it down into place. One of the things to note here is on the base of the airbox and on the lid where the clips are, there's these little feet. And the clips, when you compress them, bring the feet and the lid into contact. It's like a limit. So that is, when they're in contact, the lid and the base, they're on maximum compression. You can't get any more compression on the seal. The lid physically can't get clamped any tighter to the base. And where that becomes relevant is next, when we start talking about how the dust gets into the intake of the car. So we take the filter out, set it to the side again. I'm going to get a photo and I'm going to put it on the screen now. It's of the base of my airbox, and I'm going to try and show you guys what I can see here on the video, and that is the fact that each one of these square edges is actually deformed. They're no longer straight, and that's just a case of it being plastic and over time deforming. And what that means is when the plastic heats up and it deforms, you can lose your compression on that seal. And when the engine's sucking a lot of air, and let's be honest, 4.5 litre V8 twin turbo engine, it's going to draw a fair bit of air. What it can do is it can actually draw air around the seal of your filter. Now, if you're off-road and you're in contaminated air, dusty air, it can draw dust in around the seal of the filter as well. So what my research has shown me, and I've seen it firsthand as well, both on my car and on other cars, is that a big problem lies with the seal of the air filter around the airbox. The second problem lies with the actual filter media, which is the material in these filters, because there's a few tricks you can do, and I'm going to explain them. You can lay a piece of foam tape around the bottom of this mating surface here where the seal sits. That obviously increases the thickness and increases the clamping pressure when you do up your 4 clamps. That obviously means a tighter seal, and so when the airbox deforms or when you apply a lot of load on the engine, you have a tighter seal around the seal on the filter, you have more pressure, and thus it's less likely to suck dust through. So that's one of the things you can do is use a piece of foam strip tape. It's the door jamb tape, you can buy it from Bunnings, hardware stores, Clark Rubber, that sort of thing. The other thing that people do is they use rubber grease around the seal of their filter, and then they put it in. And obviously that's designed to obviously block any small passages around the seal that may allow dust in. Now, I don't condone the tape or the grease as a proper fix for the problem, because in my experience I have run and tried both, and I've still ended up obviously with a dusted motor. So in my experience, they're just a band-aid solution. They're not a proper fix to the problem. And then lastly, the last bit that relates to specifically the seal, the airboxes, is when you install the filters, make sure that you don't pinch the seal and fold it over and clamp the lid down with it folded over, because it's going to create a passageway straight in for the dust. So yeah, there's 2 problems that you've got to look out for. One is the seal, and I've finished talking about that now. The other one is the actual media of the filter itself, which is this white and blue material that you can see. Unfortunately, I don't actually believe there's a proper solution to that. It's one of those things. Does one work better than the other? I'm not 100% sure. I've seen reports online, people that have done tricks to increase the seal on their airbox, or have actually replaced their Toyota factory airbox with an aftermarket airbox made out of metal that obviously retains a factory filter. So a metal airbox means that it doesn't deform, increases the clamping pressure around the seal of the filter, which should fix the seal issue, but they've still got reports of dust coming through, which means it must come through the actual media of the filter itself. So 2 things you've got to look out for. Obviously the quality of your filter and the type of media that it uses, and the seal. I've seen a lot of reports from people using foam style filters. I am 6 of one, half a dozen the other about them. I used to run one for a while. Didn't really notice any difference to the factory ones, but when you're out in the bush, you obviously can't clean it, not readily, not easily, and so that's why I ended up converting back to running paper filters. So now we've talked enough about the airbox and the issues with the airbox. Let's move on to looking at these 2 air filters for a 200 series, and we can have a look at a few physical features of them, and obviously what differentiates them and what is going to make a better filter and a not so good filter. All right, so I've got kitchen scale in front of me, and I've also got vernier caliper. What we're going to do is measure a few things on these filters, break them down, and explain how that's going to affect their ability and how well they work in your car. So I've already made my list of notes, and I'm going to put some photographs up on the screen as we go through, and I'm just going to talk about the differences now. So as I said, this blue filter here, genuine Toyota air filter for a 200 series Land Cruiser. This one here is aftermarket air filter, readily available, also for a 200 series Land Cruiser. As I said, I'm not going to mention the brand because it's irrelevant for this, and I don't want to get sued. Not that I think I will, because really I'm just presenting the facts. But the facts are, when you pick these two filters up side by side, you can immediately feel a weight difference. And so I got the kitchen scales out and I weighed them. The Toyota filter weighs in at 751 grams. The aftermarket filter only weighs in at 594 grams. So it is considerably lighter. Where does that come from? The overall height of the 200 Toyota filter is 62 millimeters versus the overall height on the aftermarket filter is only 51 millimeters. The next thing you look at is, when you look at them, you can see there's a few differences. The Toyota filter has 29 pleats. Pleat is this line of filter material here, filter media. There's 29 of them as you go across the filter that way. There's only 23 pleats in the aftermarket filter. What that means is the Toyota filter is taller and it has more pleats pushed in there. If you imagine grabbing each side of the filter material, pulling the filter apart and expanding those pleats out so it was just one flat surface, you'd have a lot more filter material in this filter than you do in the aftermarket one. It's taller and there's more pleats. So yeah, there's more filter material in this filter in the Toyota one than there is in the aftermarket one. And the difference that makes is the more filter material you have, the more surface area you have, the better it's going to filter, the longer it's going to last. So yeah, one of those things that you got to keep in mind, your considerations, especially if you run a full term service interval, so 10,000 Ks. If you're replacing an air filter every 10,000 Ks, you do a lot of off-road work, you're going to want a filter that has more ability or better ability to filter. And of course, the next thing to look at is the seal thickness. That's the last thing that we can compare between these two filters. And so the seal thickness on the genuine Toyota filter is 13.05 millimeters, and the seal thickness on the aftermarket filter is 9.31 millimeters. What that means, as I explained to you and showed you with the airbox, when the lid is clipped onto the base, you've got these hard stops that doesn't allow it to clip down anymore. So the thicker the seal that you put in the middle there, the more compression the lid's going to have against the seal, the better it's going to seal. So there's obviously a reason why the Toyota seal is quite thick. And again, when you look online, there's a lot of reports of dust bypassing the seal on the filters. And so it's obviously quite important that you ensure you have a quality filter that has a nice thick seal to stop that issue. The second issue obviously is with the filter media, and that's one that I'm not sure how you're going to fix, because I've seen reports online, numerous reports online, both these filters with certain fixes done to fix the seal have had reports of dust bypassing the media and still being found in the clean side of the airbox. So yeah, one of those things that I'm not sure how you fix. Well, I do, and I'll show you that later on. The last thing that you got to look at is obviously the prices for these filters, and that's the last sort of physical fact item that we can compare. The Toyota filter here cost me $55 to buy from a local dealer here in Perth. He always has supply, no issues. Aftermarket filter, for me to purchase online, I can purchase it online with free delivery for between $46 to $48. If I was to go to one of our big sort of automotive parts stores in Perth, one of them I can buy it for $70 and at the other one I can buy it for $81. That pretty much wraps up the comparison on the air filters. Remember, I'm just looking at the hard facts here, the physical sizes and features of these filters. And obviously what I'm trying to demonstrate to you guys is this is a genuine filter. This is a readily available aftermarket filter that's quite commonly used, and straight off the bat I can see quite a few differences between these two filters which could cause issues in regards to dusting of the 200. Same thing goes for a 70 because they have the same style airbox with the 4 clips in the corners. Unfortunately, I can't test the filter media itself, but what I will do is I'll put a link in the corner now to a video done by Jamie from Project 200, and he actually rigged up a test where he tested a bunch of filters and their filter media, and again he had some quite surprising results there too. So you can go and have a watch of his video if you want to see how the actual filter media performs, but all I'm looking at is the actual physical features of these air filters. So with those air filters out the way, we're going to move on and we're going to look at some fuel filters that I've got here. There's not much I can physically look at with these fuel filters because they look quite the same, but what I will do is this one here, genuine Toyota fuel filter. This one here, readily available aftermarket fuel filter. I'm going to put a photo on the screen now of a overhead view, and it's going to show you the filter media. Much like what I was showing you with the pleats on the air filters, we're going to look at what the filter media looks like on both these filters. There doesn't seem to be much of a weight difference, but I did weigh them, and the Toyota fuel filter comes in at 106 grams. The aftermarket fuel filter comes in at 93 grams. So small weight difference, but probably negligible at the end of the day. Well, I need to touch on quickly the prices of these fuel filters. Most recently I paid $28 for my Toyota fuel filter, though it was part of quite a few parts, obviously with replacing the engine. But traditionally I pay $35 for it, and the most I've paid for a Toyota fuel filter was up in Geraldton, a country dealership. I paid $37 for it. Now, touching on the aftermarket fuel filter, if I was to buy it online, I could find it between $31 and $33. But if I was to go into one of the big automotive stores that are close by, it would cost me between $46 and $51. What is interesting though is I have a story about this particular brand of aftermarket fuel filter. Back in August this year, we went and filmed the Variety Bash again, and I had the car service 1 week before that trip. We had to drive up to Geraldton to start the event. So 1 week beforehand, the car was serviced and had all the filters replaced. Working back, getting a few bits and pieces organised. Still had the same tank of fuel in the car that was in there from before the service, and we actually drove all the way up to Geraldton on that tank of fuel too. And twice on the way to Geraldton with a brand new fuel filter, I had the fuel restriction warning light come on. So I had to stop, reset that the first time. I thought, maybe it's just a glitch. It was under heavy load, so give it the benefit of the doubt. Off we went again, got another half an hour up the road. Again, I had to overtake a caravan, put it under a bit of load. Bang, fuel restriction warning light came up again. So I had to run around that Friday afternoon. I went to the Toyota dealer and I bought brand new genuine fuel filter. And lo and behold, did the next 8 days on the event without an issue at all. So yeah, a bit interesting that I had that flow restriction warning light come up with the aftermarket filter, but not with the genuine one. And then the last thing that I want to show you, and it's going to be a little bit hard to see, I've got the filters in my hands. I'm a right-handed person. My right hand is a fair bit stronger than my left hand. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze these two filters, the filter media. Just put my fingers on the edges of the filters. I did this just before and it actually really surprised me, which is why I'm including it. You're probably going to think it's a bit of a pointless test, but have a look anyway, because I can quite easily squish this filter, but I cannot do it with the Toyota one, no matter how much I try. So yeah, odd. And obviously that's not meant to come apart either, of which it doesn't do it on the Toyota one. So anyway, we're gonna leave it there. The last thing I'm gonna show you, put these to the side, is what I believe is the ultimate solution to dust ingress on 200s. So I've identified on the airbox, there's obviously the fault with the seal and the airbox being able to deform. So the best thing that you can do, and I touched on it before, is to fit an aftermarket stainless steel airbox. This one here is produced by Moonlight Fabrication and Welding, a local Perth company in Wangara. And they've been kind enough to lend me this box for display purposes. We went and had a really good chat to Kelly and Tyrone when we found out that we had dusted the engine on the car, about what options existed for us. And this will be the very first thing I fit after my parts warranty expires. So obviously the new engine that we fitted to the car, we have parts warranty from Toyota on that, but it was reiterated to me the need to keep that engine stock and use genuine filters and all the like. So my airbox that's down there, the Toyota one, I'm going to reinstall that back into the car tomorrow. We should be done with swapping the engine over tomorrow. And for the duration of my parts warranty, I'm going to run that airbox. And then the day that expires, I'm going to go and invest in one of these to protect that new engine. So the main differences, and I did say it before with one of these, is by it being made out of stainless steel, it can't deform. So it can't warp, all right? It's got a good seal all the way around here. It's not going to deform, it can't twist. It obviously can put a lot more clamping pressure on the seal of the filter, and touching on that too. The guys at Moonlight have obviously done a lot of testing themselves, and they've gone away from running Toyota filters, and this filter here is actually for a Duramax, but it's a 6.6 litre V8 diesel engine, turbo diesel engine. So that engine demands a lot more air than 200 series engine, and so that filter here is obviously more than capable of providing that engine with air. It's going to be more than capable of providing our engine with air. They've obviously done their testing and they've worked out that these are the best filters to run, and all the reports I've gotten from mates that are running this exact same airbox and filter combination in the 200s is that it's been absolutely faultless and they've had zero issues with dust. So with those sort of recommendations, and having spoken with the guys at Moonlight, it gave me the peace of mind that this will be the way to go, the way of the future. So the day that my parts warranty runs out, I'll be fitting one of these airboxes. And in the meantime, this is the display version and I've just got to go and return it when I've finished videoing. So that pretty much wraps up that. Hopefully I've been able to adequately explain how it is that we've ended up in this situation, and obviously hopefully been able to also give you a few options, and obviously also give you a few things to look out for with your own cars. So we're going to sign off the video there, guys. As always, happy safe adventuring. Hopefully one day we'll see you out on the tracks and trails. If you found the video somewhat beneficial, or if you've just enjoyed my channel. Make sure you go down there, check that you've hit that subscribe button, enable notifications by clicking the bell, smash the like button or the dislike button, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. And we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.